Hey JHF7. My name is Coach Counterplay. I will do your requested VOD review. Let me just skim over your request very quickly. In-game name Fabulous Fascism or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce that. Top lane Garen. New to top lane on my Smurf. I think I play lane I'm really sorry. New to top lane on my Smurf. I think I played lane phase pretty well, but I couldn't decide when to leave lane and help the team, and so I didn't extend my lead anywhere on the map. Need help with macro and stuff. Okay, can do that. Let me just check your OPGG. Okay, you're gold 3 on your main. Played some Garen here, but overall bad. Oh, there are normals in there. We don't really care about normals. Okay, not so successful in ranked games. And then you have your Smurf account, and you're not really that successful with Garen as well. I mean, this is pretty normal, I assume. I had troubles with Garen as well. I actually played a few hundred Garen games last season. Not sure how many actually, but I played quite a lot. And yeah, I struggled at the start as well, so I guess it's normal. Overall, your stats here. Overall about your stats, you're dying way too often. You're never placing. You're never buying control wards. Your average CS is way too low. I think I'm not so certain about how to itemize Garen right. The current meta there, you have to figure that out yourself. Like search on pro build, search on OPGG for Garen players who are pretty high elo, and then figure it out. But that doesn't look too bad. I feel like that Derek's Gage and Black Cleave is a wonderful combination for Garen. But yeah, let's get into your game. Just for your pleasure. Okay, we played our good lane. It's not that fun. We started the own shield. I think this is a good decision against this lane where he can actually bully you with his additional range. I think it's 500. I'm not. Yeah, I think it's 500. Let's see. You go into the lane. I mean, this is not. Let me get my pen. Small error, but staying around here is not really doing anything. You can decide you can cover the blue buff, which is nice to do for your jungler. So people can't go in and sneak in wards and so extract information or gain information or even steal this. I mean, it's a Lucian jungle. This is really cheesy, so you never know what will hit you. In addition, or you could try to get into one of these bushes, and then you could like wait until he starts to push the wave a little, and then you could like jump on him. This is very popular on champions like Pantheon or Jax. Jax left that. I think on Tryndamere it works as well. I don't know how well it works on Garen, but I assume you could like work up auto attack Q, auto attack or something, and you will get, and then you run away, and then you get one auto attack of him triggering the Doran shield. So you'll generate that out, and obviously you get the aggro of these minions. If you do it smart, the medium minions won't even hit you. I think this would be pretty okay, but yeah, I mean we can assume that he didn't really start shield, so. Could do that. What are you doing here? I feel like it's unnecessary. Oh wait. Let me just watch for a moment. Okay, let me pause. I mean, I'm losing 4 minions already. This is not good. You should focus on getting all the minions, you actually gain priority in the lane, which is kind of weird because you shouldn't have priority in the lane. Like Urgot should harass you a lot. Like your movements in the lane is not really nice, or it's kind of aggressive movements, while I wouldn't expect in that matchup to be aggressive at all, or like to be so aggressive, especially with your Shyvana pathing up and maybe ganking, maybe allowing her to gank you. It just doesn't feel like normally as a Garen you don't really have the option in this at this state of the game to actually go aggressive, but you just stay in the minion wave aggressively all the time, and like multiple times you hit the same minion and then you lasted it, and actually every last hit you do in a minion Urgot could auto attack you, which would bring you down fairly quickly, and he isn't doing that because this is silver, and that's the reason I would recommend you playing on your main, so you can like learn from people who will punish your flaws and not only be like, yeah, I ignore the Garen who's in front of me and I could just right click on him and slowly but surely win the lane. So this is not very healthy. Okay, he misses. Yes, you put the ward down, decent timing. Putting it down 5 seconds earlier would have been better. You will learn fairly quickly that the E on Garen isn't really the best last hitting tool, and I think we experience that sometimes. Aside of that, I feel like it's okay how you play the lane, considering how Urgot treats the lane. Yeah, we have to. Yeah. Okay. Now he pushes in. You don't really need to allow anything. Okay, look, like why? You have to learn to think about the micro stuff. Okay. All you have to do, like, the way to the top of the ladder is to fix minutiae small details, and then stack these minutiae little things you changed up on each other, and eventually they will create a big picture of what we are good at. For instance, what you're doing here, like moving up and back and CSing, is like, it's like spacing and it's CSing, and it's really core principles in the game, and it's really big and it's really hard to figure it out. They're master players who can't properly CS and space, you know, because it's not easy. It's really hard, and so like learning it is not easy, and it's a big challenge. But it all starts with things like why this lane is pushing into you, very basic lane knowledge, right? So why do we have to step up and auto attack a minion multiple times so he can auto attack us, and like it trades up on us, and we can never return the trade, because this minion wave is so big that if we start to return a trade, the minion aggro will just lose us the trade automatically. And this wave is coming in, so we can't like back off and regenerate on our passive because we have to pick up the minions. So you put yourself in an awkward spot, especially because there's no way you will ever kill him, right? With the way you can trade now and with the damage numbers you have, and considering you have a dominant shield and not something more aggressive, like you will not kill him. So why step up there and risk your HP just to hit a minion multiple times, which will just slow down the push in your direction, and expose you to more damage? Like, it's just unnecessary. Because this Urgot is just ignoring. Like now, yeah, when he actually played that okay, I guess. He could have played it better, then he would have lost the trade pretty hard. Like, he's way too defensive. He could be way more aggressive, and then you would have trouble. I think you CS that okay. You could have gotten 2 or 3 more. Just be careful with the E. I think in this situation it was okay. You actually put in a second point into your E, which I think is interesting. Might actually be pretty smart. I don't know perfectly the damage numbers of Garen and how this is changing the dynamic of, or the interaction of your spin to the minions, but I feel like this could help. I actually thought about that, about doing that when I played Garen, but I didn't think too much depth about it because I cared about other things. But I think it's interesting. So if this was not just a fluke, you might have a point there, putting a second point into the E just for the wave clear. So okay, I mean, as I said, normally you would play this link kinda defensive and just farm up and wait until you have like your phage and you have some resistances. Maybe you get Merc threat, not Merc threats, Tabis against this team, and then you could like start fighting him. But in this situation, because the Urgot is bad, you might as well just go up there and yeah, damage him. By the way, your E is shredding a lot of armor. You know, like when you hit 4 spins, your opponent loses 25% of your armor. So what you can do is you can walk up, then start the spin, use the Q as a speed up, get melee range against him, spin his armor down, and then when you get out of it, when you get out of your spin, you immediately get the Q hit on him. He's silenced. He has no armor anymore. You can pop it off with 1 or 2 autos until the silence is stopping, and then your Q will be up nearly immediately again, and then you can actually do an extended trade, which I feel like would be really good in these situations. And you only miss, like the only damage in your comp you're missing this way is the auto attack reset of your Q, but if you use it as a gap closer, you will miss that always, so there's not really a way around it. Like now, you could start to be more aggressive because he is because his positioning is so poorly, and he's actually not managing his mana properly. I mean, now he is obviously level 6 against you, and we have to be a little bit careful because now he's poking you more and more, and we don't really want to risk it, right? We don't want to trade Half-Life against full HP opponents. Okay, I think it's pretty fine so far. I mean, you lose a lot of, you miss a lot of the windows where you might want to try something just to figure out how good is he actually. And depending on how his reactions to certain plays of you and certain movements are, depending on that, you can like plan the way you're trading. Okay, you should get these minions. Your Volciasing is okay, but it could be better. You just missed too many for how bad Urgot plays. Okay, like this is a no-go. Actually, can I kill you there? No. Like now you're in a spot where you traded continuously too much HP for minions, and that's what he could have done from the get-go already. And if he's good at it, he actually doesn't even lose minions for it, or not a lot of minions for it. So he started harassing you. Your movements are poor, so you drop HP, and then you're not allowed to. Then you're just not allowed to trade into him, because if you give him a kill now, your laning, it just pushes the way back at the point of the game back where you're actually stronger than he is. Because this most of the time happens that there's coming a window where you're outscaling a ranged opponent on the top lane, or there will be a moment where this is happening for quite a while. As top lane main, you might have seen that when you play against Swain top lane, like in the early game, it's just obnoxious because you can't gap close because of her Tumblr and her Condemn, and then you farm up and maybe you play maybe something interesting like Jax or Renekton or so, and then you're just stronger, and eventually we'll just flash on her and kill her fairly quickly because you outscaled her at that point, and eventually she will come back and become stronger in the 1v1, but then there is a window where you're actually stronger. And if you like feed Urgot, or if you give him a little bit of gold additionally and widen the gold gap, he might actually be able to sustain through the window where you're actually stronger than he is, and then you have just no window where you're actually better than where you're just better than him, and then you're just a burden on your team, right? So, or you're just less valuable than he is. Okay. Okay, I like the respect. Okay, now we go aggressive. Yeah, it's fine as well. He's so low on mana, you can use that. You can be really aggressive. I think this is not good when you just like expose yourself to damage to just get a little bit of a shove going. Like, you can try to do that, but include the trade, right? Like, why not just step up E, and on the one side of the E is Urgot, on the other side are the minions, you know? Obviously the shove isn't that big, but why do you have to hard shove this lane anyway, right? I mean, you have not so many advantages. positioning yourself here, right? Like playing in that pocket, there are not so many advantages. It's way better for you when the lane is in the middle, so you don't have to hard shove it, as long as you don't want to roam mid or invade the opponent's jungle or teleport bot lane, right? So there's no reason to sacrifice HP just for the shove, just trade, right? Because you're at a point where you're definitely stronger than he is because he has no mana. Like, yeah, okay, now again, don't do that. You have no advantage of the shove. Can go on him. Use that mana. Okay, good, good. Keep going. Okay, great. You got his flash. All we have to do is to wait for our Q, wait until he's greedy and steps up for the minion. Like when this minion is dropping low. Okay, no, he realizes it. What you can do here is, or what you should do is like, if people back up and you have sufficient wards, so you know it's not just a bait, then you can step in. Hey, is he recalling? Is he actually recalling? Is he just trying to bait me into shoving the wave? What is he doing? Right? You can ping for help here as well. Get the dive going on him. Your Shyvana will have ultimate soon, and you can just dive him. As I said, low mana is the best thing to capitalize on. If you have an opponent and you manage to get his resource low, then he's just so weak. Okay, actually kill him because he's greedy and bad. Okay, good job. Yeah, just shove and recall. Obviously. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Could have killed a little bit earlier, that's fine. Oh, what did he miss? The control ward? Yeah, okay. That's good. You know, like, when you do that, like when you place a control ward like this is a control ward. The river control ward is there for the river control ward is only there if you have priority. So he's only allowed to place that control ward when he can shove you in, and you're only allowed to use it when you shove in. And when you do it like that, so that you go around here, you control ward, and here VC knows that you control warded because there was a ward. And then instead of getting priority in lane and then getting the ward, clearing the ward first just allows him to shove you in. And now you have to deal with that minion wave, and at this time he can just pick up the control ward. And you can't do really a lot about it, because even when you fight him, you have to tank all these minions, and that's not particularly nice. So you put yourself into a weird disadvantage. I mean, a lot of things which are going on there are just not so bad for you because he's managing it poorly. But this could be a lot of... These things could go a lot worse for you. Okay. I don't know why they put it together. But okay, I like the return kill. But I feel like they managed to pulley again. He can't kill you, no chance. Tabia too good. Okay. You could stay here, pick up the wave, and then teleport back. Like you could just stay, shove, take this wave, then take the next wave, because obviously Lucian was low mana. You could shove that as well, because we know Urgot has no teleport. We saw him teleporting back, so we have the cooldown. Get that and recall, and then you could like keep your teleport, then maybe do something on bot lane. Or just something, or just roam somewhere, or whatever. Especially because he has the villain mark, so it should be really, really sweet. Okay, let me just check the items really quick. Okay, I mean here's this Black Lever finished, and you don't. I would be careful. But you have your level 2 ultimate, still. Yeah, he's doing damage. Okay. We pick up the mountain. I mean, what he is not doing is that he's not punishing your Q cooldowns. Like, you're using your Q sometimes just for last hitting and making a threat, or for creating a threat to jump on him, or like here, you see. And now he could like be really aggressive, right? Because you have no chance of gap closing. And when you run up, he can just slow you down with the Q. And so, yeah. Okay. I get the point of playing it safe, you know, like allow, just not shoving the wave too much and just out farming him. But I feel like he's so aware that you can kill him that there's not really a lot of point doing that, because obviously you will generate a CS lead this way, and CSing for you is way easier for him. Actually, you're not really generating a big gold lead. I feel like you're missing too many minions, and you're a little bit sloppy in the whole attempt. But let's say you even manage to pull it off better and you create a big CS lead. It's not really doing a whole lot for you, because all it does when you play this way is to dissuade Lucian from ganking top lane again, and so Lucian will just stay on mid, and he will stay on bot lane, and he will create a threat there. And you don't really want that, right? You want to get the jungler on your lane. You want to create pressure on the lane, so your teammates have an easier life on their lanes, because you want to learn to deal with the pressure and carry a team, right? You can never trust your teammates to not crumble under 2v1 pressure. So you want to try to soak up as much of that as possible. And in addition, you can just create a threat on the mid lane as well by just keeping it pushed and trying to threaten the Aurelion Soul. And yeah, this way obviously Urgot gets a little bit more of CS, but the map pressure is just way more valuable. Freezing in solo queue, especially in lower elo, is just nearly never worth it. That's just how it is. If you really want to play perfectly, there are obviously points where you could freeze, but in reality then someone screws it up pretty much, and yeah, and then it's pretty much done for again. You don't need to go mid lane here and force the mid lane tower. There's no reason to do it. It's not really giving you a whole lot, right? I mean, your team could do it without you as well. And even if they couldn't, like, we don't need to engage in this kind of ARAM scenario, because all it allows is to trade off a tower, give Urgot, who is like losing his lane, a lot of free CS. It allows Twitch obviously to get more free CS, even while you will punish him for that, which is good. And he's obviously coming back, and I mean, it's not really what we want, right? We don't really want to just mindlessly trading off gold against a team who can like capitalize on gold fairly well, you know. Yeah, and obviously this kind of shit is happening as well, because we're in solo queue. It's a pretty big 50-50 who will win the team fight. So we don't have to handshake that. Just play the side lane, just keep the pressure up, and like get people to hunt you, and then just get away from them and waste their time. Because now, like, your rotation really costs you 2 towers top, and it's not so great. So you didn't really accomplish a whole lot with leaving the lane. Just play the side lane. This is really, like, this is your game plan as a top laner should always be, until you're really high elo and you know better. Just play the side lanes, go there, search and seek a lot of CS, so you're really strong in case you actually fight. And then when there is a situation you want to participate in, just teleport in and be this gigantic monster. I mean, look at that. Like, you're not really knowing what you're doing. And you're just wasting a lot of time. You get really low now, so you might eventually actually, and then you might stick around and you lose all those minions on top lane. I mean, and you're not doing anything, right? You're not accomplishing anything. Instead, you could be on the side lane and pushing and actually threatening to take like this tower and this tower, and you could like try to like get people to chase you, and then your team would be freed up to Ocean Drake, or you go bot lane, which might actually be a little bit better, and your team is like enabled when someone is actually thinking they can hunt you down on bot lane, and you're really tanky on Garen, right? So you could be bot lane and when they are actually hunting you, your team just doesn't Ashe because you spam ping at them. I mean, they might not do it with their own intent, but you can ping them. So you're just winning the map, and that's what you're doing here. Is just you're tossing a coin. You're tossing a coin, and you pray that someone is stupid enough to get in range of you. But like, this can't be the right player. A play should rarely be based on the ignorance of your opponents, right? So it's not good. Yeah, I mean you're just using the map because you try to engage mindless teamfights. Most of the time as a Garen it's not smart, by the way, especially without flash, to be just front to front against the opponents. You want to flank in and take out the backline. Even while you're a tank, but you're not so valuable as a tank because you can't really bind people, right? That's one of the reasons why Garen is falling off in the mid and late game, or mainly the late game, because you can't really bind people. You can't be the Maokai who's seeing everyone and who holds them in place so that your ADC can free fire. Garen doesn't do that. So you're more like of a tank who like threatens the backline so heavily so that they can't ignore you anymore, instead of actually fixing the fight. But if you want to threaten the backline, you can't just run at them because it's way too easy to just how's the right word, to fan you off, I guess. So don't do that. Okay, we're back in A-Rim. No. Like, this is not good. You have teleport, use it. Go top, push that tower. This is fucking silver, and in gold it's the same. They will just forget about the fact that you're taking the tower, and if they're not, and send people up, yeah, easier life for your team. And then you just teleport to join them. You are not really a part of the actual front line anyway, because as I said, you want to flank, you want to take out the back line, because as a tank, you're not particularly nice, because you're not really enabling your ADC to walk up, because they can just like focus on you, then your ADC walks up, and then they start to ignore you again, and then they focus on their ADC, and in 1 second he's dead. Because you can't really force the opponents to deal with you. See, like, team fight starts. Now you could finish your teleport very soon. Maybe teleport here, wrap around. Fairly easy. And now you would actually have to flank here in on the whole backline, on all that good shit. I mean, why not? And what are you doing now? You can never reach. You have no value in these fights. You're completely useless. And your ADC is paying for that to a certain degree. Because if you can't threaten anything, I mean, what are you doing? You did nothing. And instead you could be top lane. You would definitely get this gold immediately. You would definitely catch a minion wave more. You would definitely damage that tower. And your odds to win the teamfight are bigger as well. And you have like a job which is really easy, because obviously spacing and positioning in mid lane is not easy, but like just pushing top lane is a really easy task. So you would have more mental resources to actually think, do we want to take that fight? Is this a good idea? And then you can obviously signal your teammates your thoughts with pings. So this would be really nice. So you push top and look at the response. He just blew his teleport. So you have a big advantage. You can use this teleport to actually win the next team fight if you're smart. Okay. As I said, you might wanna E first into Q because it's just more damage. But as I said, like the window where you're stronger than him is, I think it's pretty close already. I mean, you have some gold, but I don't think it's enough. Okay, he's dead. No big deal. Recall. Get bot lane. Maybe not exactly now because it enables Nash too much, but like wait for your teammate to come up until you show yourself bot lane, and then you can start to pressure bot lane and tell your team to get some wards in so you can teleport properly. Like, this is infinitely more valuable. I mean, here again, you go up there and it's no threat. There's no reason for them to do anything. Like I heard this I watched actually this really interesting discussion of some challenger players talking about champ design. This was years ago, but it was really interesting. And they talked about what good champions are about and why other champions are bad champions. And one of the things they talked about was just how much force a champion has, how much a champion can force a play or can force a situation. Like how hard can a champion initiate and how much counterplay is there. Like back then you could interrupt the Shyvana ultimate with a Janna Tornado, so obviously she was a bad champion because her initiate, her threat of going in and her way of forcing a play was easily fanned off. And then they changed that some time ago, and she obviously got some other stuff done for her as well, and now she's actually a real threat in solo queue. And back then, like, Victor could like just blew you away, it could like assassinate you instantly or like in 1 second. So this was a real threat, and the champions just couldn't do it. So they talked a little bit about these champions. So the bigger the threat and the less counterplay there is to it, aside of just going away, right, the stronger a champion is to a certain degree. I mean, this is obviously only one side of all it, or just one angle to look at it. But I think it's an interesting point, because this is one of the reasons why Garen has some problems in the mid and late game. Because your way of forcing a play is just running at opponents, and this is the weakest way of forcing a play. Even Ramos has struggles with that in Hecarim, and they are like so fast. So you're just a Garen player, right? So your way of forcing a play is not good, and you don't really have wave clear, and you're not really good at defending stuff, right? So you not really want to be front on front with opponents, because you can't really force something. You can't really you can force them to take a team fight with you. You can force them to actually go away because the threat of you doing something is too big. You're just dead meat there. And this is not really a problem, because it's really easy to play against you. And when it's easy to play against you, then people will pull it off. Split push is something people can't really deal with very well, so you can use that. And then you, as I said, just teleport in. Flanks are not so easy to deal with, because then you're melee range, then you're actually a juggernaut, and then you're an actual threat, which with which people have to deal with. Like this, like, when is this working? This is working when Janna is drunk, Urgot is retarded, and I don't know what. I mean, look at that. Why is this working? Because Twitch is on fucking retard, and because Aurelion Sol can flash. But like, you can't base your whole... You can base all your plays on the mistakes or on the ignorance of your opponents, right? Can't do that. Yeah, I mean, you want that, but if you play against some players with half a brain, this will never happen, because Twitch just he ran melee range into you. He just didn't see you, which is completely retarded. And now we have to, and it's because we could have been bot lane all the time, and now instead we have to blow our teleport for it. If the opponents are like if they're just threatening top tower and you then stick around the whole time, because obviously this was your intention, because you have this hope that they might do something, or that they might come into you, so you can do something, then you just have to teleport on bot lane for nothing. Instead of that, we could just pick it up for free, so that's not good. Map play is important. Yeah, keep the shaft. Just shove it out, get some pressure, get a recall, then go bot lane as well. Go bot lane again. You don't want to 5v5 against them. You're not a good teamfight champion on Garen. It's kind of risky. I don't know how much you know. We obviously know that they're all top, but I don't know how much you know. What's your gold? I think you have quite some. Yeah, you have so much gold. Just recall. I mean, you're doing a good job on getting attention there. But like, this is not a really safe play. Oh my god, she's so bad. What the fuck? Okay, so you got Nash. I mean, this comes from your split push, right? But you could have started doing that 7 minutes ago already, or even earlier. And you could have done that in a minute again with good items and sufficient tankiness to be actually so durable and annoying that you could actually win 1v1s, and that you could actually that you can actually easily escape all the time. So there was no reason to do it now. It obviously worked out, which is good, but it just could have been better. Okay, we go mid. I think that's fine. I mean, the ultimate wasn't fine. We punished a little bit, or we tried to punish the fact that the people are staying topside, but we can't really do much against 2 people. We could finish off these minions and then go top, or go mid. Yeah, it's more like mid. Your flash is back up again, so that's good. We don't have our teleport anymore. I would have went mid lane in this scenario because you don't have your teleport anymore and your flash, so you can flash on the back line and the Janna is dead as well, but this is just the cake on the cherry, so to speak. So I would have went mid lane just to get the priority and then go top lane and obviously to control the Drake, and you didn't do that, so you pay with the Drake for it. And actually with the life of your jungler and with the life of your mid laner, because you didn't support them really in this situation, and in addition you didn't ping them. Yeah, ignoring and Black Cleaver, oh god, it's not really the way to go. And your ADC dies. I mean, that's what happens when people, like this happens, and so people tilt their ass off when things don't really go well, so don't allow stuff like this to happen. You're always causing a domino effect, which will cause a lot of trouble for you. Okay, we'll pick up the minions. Can go on the sideline. But you have to be way more careful. When you have teleport, it's all easy, but without teleport, you have to be really careful what you're doing on the sideline. And as you see, we not really win the 1v1 against Urgot. Okay, that's good. Okay. That's good, yeah. That's fine. I mean, you need more wards when you're this exposed, right? Or you have to be more careful until you spot where all the opponents are, and then you when you see them, you put down the wards, and so you have a safety net, and then you push. But the basic idea was correct already. Get pressure on the lanes so that people come up and waste their time in an approach of trying to kill you. That's what we do. And if you have the wards, you don't have to blow your flash. But, I mean, okay. Now we're in a weird situation, but it just means that we have to... I mean, in this situation, you actually have to play frontline because Shyvana is out of position. Otherwise, we could, like, try to wrap around and get a flank off again. Because, you see, like, running into them is not really doing a whole lot for you. It's not that great. Like now, like we could try to get a flank in, or Shyvana is trying to get a flank in, but then you have to position yourself properly already, so that you can follow it up immediately. And you could like ping in, so your Shyvana knows that she should go in, and I feel like she should go in, because you can do that. Like now Shyvana is in the middle, so you should wrap around and get in there. I mean, they are bad. Good teams would have wards all around here, but they don't, so you could use that. Because as I said, a Garen you can see is easy to deal with. A Garen who comes from the side is not so easy to deal with. I mean, look at that. You're accomplishing nothing. It's doing nothing. It's pointless. You could actually recall already. You could have recalled earlier again and shoved the bot lane, you know. It's slow pushing, but it could be more annoying. Or you could have pushed mid lane, which would obviously have avoided this whole situation of weirdness. Okay. Yeah, you can shove mid, then you should go top lane. Yeah. This kind of shit isn't really working against good people, never. And that's what you get, right? You get a GA, be proud. But, like, running into an ADC, a decently healthy ADC with a Janna as a Garen without flash, without a lot of feed, doesn't happen. Like, you don't get it. I think I actually know the Lucian, I think I actually know it. Yeah, whatever. I mean, you have nice amount of... Your stats are nice, but you're just making too many mistakes. Like, you're just staying around pretty much, and you're nice to look at, but it's not bringing your team or the game forward or anything. It's a lot of wasted time. Like, the biggest macro thing you accomplished so far in this game is to force a couple of teleports on Urgot, which is not doing a whole lot because you're not using your teleport yourself well, so it's not like taking his teleport does a whole lot. Yeah, now you die. Could have just ran it out with flash. That's what Garen does, and you could have like won a lot of time. But you decided to not, so they can easily pick up the Nash. Obviously your fault. And you blew your teleport, which is really bad for us. Yeah, you should just wait the Nash out in this situation. Wait it out, and then yeah, you have to get that up. Yeah, that's not smart. You're a little bit more forceful with that, which is nice, but you're still like, you know what? Let's see that's in slower. Like, you're a little bit more forceful here by using the blasting plant. It said that Shyvana wasn't on the blasting plant, but okay. But yeah, you're running into a lot of shit again, and like, if Twitch is smart, he just passes up like that, and then he's in the line with his support again, or he like passes up like that and flashes over, and you can never get him, and you just get fueled in like this, in this weird, you get like fueled in this weird situation where Twitch and Aurelion Sol and Lucian are really strong, and they can just like completely destroy you. And it takes a lot of time until actually your damage dealer is arriving. Zed is completely out of position because of his recall or death, I don't know. And yeah, that's good at you. Like, you can never win that. I mean, what should like 3 tanks only are good when they come into melee range do against a couple of people who can just easily fend them off? Like, if this Twitch is halfway decent, you lose that so hard. Or even when Janna is good. And you still lose it hard. Even while they play bad. That just shows how gigantic the problem of the players. Okay. We actually do good damage. With the Zetas as well, but it's just not enough. You will lose the NP here. The death timers are so long already. Very easy. Easy for them. Yeah, they can't finish, I guess, but it's major damage, and they will eventually find a way to. And they have like the 10,000 gold lead, which is like the magic number of no return, to a certain degree. Not perfectly true, but it's a very bad sign, obviously. They could have actually have sticked around a little bit longer with the Nash buff to just crash this tower, but it looks like they didn't want to. And they can just recall, pick up, fix the side lanes, get pushes running on these lanes, group up top lane themselves to destroy that tower because Drake is not coming up anyway, and then finish the game there. That's what they should do. What you should do is actually very simple. Try to prevent exactly that. Try to push the mid. Try to go up and push that as long as they're out of position. See, they want to push bot lane, so try to get into position for bot lane quickly. You don't have teleport. Top lane is coming, so we might want to fix that first, because obviously Urgot is out of position. We know his teleport cooldown. You should always time the opponent's summoner spells. So why stick around here, you know? I mean, what? I mean, okay, I get the idea of going down here, but it's, you know, who is fixing top lane? What's if Urgot is deciding to not recall, but stay top lane and push that shit in and lose an inner tower? What if they go top instead of doing weird stuff on the mid lane? I mean, now they get a Nexus tower, which is pretty bad for you, but imagine them taking a second inhib. Oh, actually they are so far ahead, they can do some interesting stuff, I guess. Okay. I mean, this is really unclean of them. You gave up already, how it looks like. And yeah, they finished the game now. Damn, it's Lucian. Okay, let's give you the summary of the game, so you know what's going on. So in the early game, we see very clearly you don't know how to CS properly. We see that in the early game. We see that you don't really know how to move correctly in the lane, because you're way too aggressive for the matchup, and then even while your opponent is showing no sign of resistance to it, you're not abusing him. This is what's often referred to as knowing or trying to figure out the range of your opponent. So, and with range, that doesn't mean range in the sense of champion range, auto attack range, but more like what is he capable of doing. And so by trying specific plays and analyzing his reaction, you can, and like looking at his reaction, you can figure out how good is he, or how vulnerable is he to specific ways of playing, and then you can start punishing him for certain flaws you can see. And this is what we could have done against this Urgot, because as I said, he was not playing well, so we could have like used his incapabilities of moving correctly to actually cause a lot of damage in the early game, what we didn't. And then he started to play more aggressive and more self-confident, and then we started to fall apart, which is obviously not what we want. So then you gave him too many good trades. You don't really create a threat in the early game, which is not so good. So you should shove your wave, you should threaten mid lane roams, you should threaten going into opponent's jungle and placing wards and stealing camps. There were some micro problems with the control ward. I mean, I think I explained it fairly well already. You just don't want to place it when you will come to a situation where you actually where your opponent just has a window of lane priority where he can just clear it out. Then overall your playstyle is heavily based on the idea that, like playstyle quotes unquote, is more like yeah, let's call it playstyle for the sake of the argument. Your playstyle is always gambling on the fact that the opponents are screwing up. The only team fights where you actually had impact at all were team fights where Twitch was completely failing to position himself, and obviously when you climb up the ladder a little bit, you will have no chance of getting anything done anymore. So you have to learn to make to have value in team fights, and if you can find value in or if you can find impact in team fights, you have to find impact on side lanes and impact the map this way. I mean, you got this one Nash, right? This was because you split pushed and you drew attention, and you could do that like all the time. This is like the cookie cutter way of playing macro as a top laner. Be on the side lane. Be careful with your teleport because you will need it. Just play the side lane. Observe your team. Observe the opponents while you push. Don't die. Ward enough so you don't die on the split push. Create pressure. And tell your team what they should do. And if you see a situation which is okay and they start a team fight, then teleport in and then clean the stuff up. And if they don't have wards for you to teleport in, ping them back or tell them that they have to place wards because otherwise you can't help them. Yeah, that's how you do it. Just sticking around with your team all the time is not good. It loses you a lot of gold regardless of your champion. And when you play champions like Garen, who are not that great of a team fighter anyway, because as I said, it's so easy to play around you, because there's so much counterplay to you when opponents can just see you and play and place their spells against you and align them against you, then it's too easy for the opponents to completely disable you, right? or to shut down everything you can do. So your aim should always be make the life of your opponents as hard as possible, and when they can see you, it's very easy. If you're in the side lane, they can see you as well, but they have to send people there who have to deal with you, and suddenly you have less tankiness. Like, because when they send like Lucian or Twitch Jenna, or Aurelion Sol, you can be a threat to them. You can kill them, so they have to send someone who is tanky, so they will send the Urgot. But then they have no tankiness. And this enables your Zed, this enables your Jinx, this enables your Shyvana, this like enables your whole team to actually just go into the opponents and kill them, right? So suddenly it's way easier for your team to get something done because the opponent lost their front line. And eventually, because you're strong and you might actually start to win 1v1s against Urgot again, then they will send more, and so your team has like a 4v3 advantage, or they get in tower and you just run it off, you know? Like, this is very basic split pushing. You should really research that. Like, go on Reddit, go on Summoner School, go on YouTube and find out about split pushing and how to do it right. And when you can like integrate that into your playstyle, then you will be way better already, you know? And then you will not struggle with these kind of games where you not really know what to do, and all you do is like hugging with your teammates, so they might not get caught, but in reality this isn't really changing anything, right? Yeah. I hope you enjoyed the VOD review. I would love if you would rate the VOD review on league coaching and maybe give me some feedback down in the comment section on how you, if you thought it helped you. Have luck in solo queue. Just keep at it. I think Garen is a wonderful pick for you. Especially for this elo until you're like diamond. I think Garen is one of the best champions to learn for top lane, to finally learn the game. Play a little bit more in your main, so you can actually play against opponents who are good and who punish you for your errors, and so you can improve. And yeah, have a wonderful day, and see you soon, hopefully.